Welcome to another episode of Live with Laura. I'm your host, Laura Hettiger, and I have a feeling, friends, you are going to love this conversation. You're going to laugh, you're going to learn a lot, and you're probably going to be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that happened. That's what it's like behind the scenes. That's because I am sitting down with St. Louis's own George Gray. And maybe if you don't recognize the name, you're going to recognize one of the most iconic catchphrases of all time. George?
Let's just kick it off right. Laura Hettiger, come on down! You're the next contestant on The Price is Right! Woo!
Yes! I have wanted my entire life to hear that and to have it done by the announcer from The Price is Right. I should retire
Thanks
now.
for having me here, Laura. This is super fun.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Let's get this conversation going right off the bat. You're from St. Louis.
I am from St. Louis.
Where'd you
and
go?
You know what I want to do? Can I just be in one of those next videos, where it's like all the people from St. Louis, like John Goodman, going, "Yeah, we want you to come down to the Arch." I want to be that guy. Why can't I say, "Come on downtown"?
I think you can. We'll get Explore St. Louis on the phone. Okay. George is in town. He wants to do it. Yes. So I have to ask the quintessential St. Louis question.
Okay.
What is it?
Oh. Where'd you go to high school?
Yes.
That's true, yeah. If you want to know if somebody's from St. Louis, if you can hear over in a bar, "So where'd you go to high school?" St. Louis. I didn't go to high school here. What happened is my parents, they had a house built in Baldwin, West County, when it was in the middle of nowhere, in the late 60s. And then we moved to Tucson, Arizona. My dad he was actually the Clayton County manager when he moved here, and then he wound up working for the city of Tucson, being the assistant city manager, and so we sold the house. I think it was 75, and then when he passed in 2002, my sister Renee said, "Hey, how about we go back and have a little family get together in St. Louis? Maybe do a little Papa G tour," what we call my dad. And so we went and saw his childhood home, and then we went in front of our house. The neighbor that we grew up with, Mom was still there. She comes out. We start talking. They're like, "Oh, whoever owns the house, the so-and-so, there's nobody in it right now, and I think he's considering selling it." And I was like, "What?" Got his number if you want to talk to him. We stood there in front of the house, called him on the phone, and we were like, "So what do you want for this?" And we just hung up, and I said to my sister, "Are we thinking about buying back our childhood home?" And we did. And so she lives here with my brother-in-law Dan and my niece Dobby, and then my brother and I come in, and so when I'm not shooting in LA, I come here and I hang out.
And how cool does that feel, being back in your childhood home?
Oh, so I would have gone to Parkway West. Okay, would have gone to Parkway West. So there you go. Amazing. It's super cool. It's really neat. It's really neat. You know where they say you can't go home again? Yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah, you just buy it.
You need to work at The Price is Right and be able to afford the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Papa G.
Yes.
I'm sorry about his passing.
Yeah, thank you.
When I posted on Facebook and through our internal communications here at Channel 4, aside from where did you go to high school, the second most common question was, who is Mama May?
Right.
And how is she doing?
Aw. But that's interesting. I have no idea who this person is, but how are they? Mama May is my mom. It's my mom. Yeah, she just coincidentally on Friday turned 90.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so her 90th birthday weekend, and super fun. So the way it started is on Price is Right. I've been there for 15 years now. I started in the end of 2010, officially in 2011, but I already had the job. It just wasn't announced. You know how that is in the business. We like to make a splash.
Why not?
Not too far into the show, because I'm on camera like multiple times throughout the show, I just one time said, "Hi, Mama May," just to my mom. We've moved since, but we were shooting on Carol Burnett's old stage, where she would tug her ear because her grandmother said, "I want you to say hi to me." She said, "Well, I can't really do that, Grandma, but I'll tug my ear, and that means I'm saying hi to you." And that became iconic. Well, I'm standing on the same stage that Carol Burnett stood on and getting to say hi to my mom. And so that was really neat. Well, I didn't really think much about it, and I would say it in different parts of the show. It'd be closed captioning is paid for by the following. Hi, Mama May. Just whatever. I just kind of throw it in fun spots. Well, they must have all aired back to back because at one point, people were coming in the audience and saying, "You didn't say hi to your mom. Is everything okay? Is she all right?" I was like, "No, I maybe it was a previous episode." So it cemented it. I asked CBS and Fremantle, the production company, if they had a problem with me saying hi to my mom every day, and they said, "No, we love it. We think it's very sweet. You're welcome to do it." And there's now T-shirts that people wear in the audience to say hi, Mama May, and she watches the show every day religiously. And thinks I'm more handsome than Brad Pitt.
Of course she does.
The best mom ever.
Yes.
So 90 over the weekend, and flew in my brother and her sister as a surprise, and we had an amazing weekend.
Oh, so The Price is Right comes on right after Great Day St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's the show I get to host with Matt and Kent. And my grandma passed away 4 years ago at the age of 97.
Wow.
But before that, she watched every single broadcast, and I was on the morning show. She was in her recliner at 4:57 a.m., ready to see me at 5 a.m. to start reporting traffic. Not that she was going to be on the roads,
Isn't
but
that sweet?
She needed to see me, know that I made it there. Every broadcast, I still sign off with a wave, and that is in honor of my grandma. So I so appreciate that you do that with your mom. That is amazing, and that she's doing well. A huge birthday party for her.
The first thing out of her mouth, I told her last night, I'm going down to the CBS affiliate. I'm going to do this show with Laura, and she said, "How do I see it?"
And did you explain it?
I said, I promise I will watch it with you. That's what I said.
Perfect.
Although she's pretty technologically sound. I mean, at 90, she actually has a smartphone. She has an iPhone. And I'll show it to people in the audience at Price during the commercial breaks. Drew and I hang out with the audience. And so she'll DVR the show. That's pretty impressive. So she'll DVR the show. She'll pause it where I say, "Hi, Mama May." She screenshots it, puts emojis on it, and then sends it to me in a text message like while I'm working.
Yes. As she should.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And I'm glad you're kind of telling us a little bit about the production behind the scenes, because those are a lot of the questions I got too from our viewers. So you're here in town right now. If you're watching this live, of course, this is March 3rd. If you watch it in a few weeks, there's a chance you're still in town, because actually production picks back up in July.
Yeah, we don't shoot again until the end of July.
Is that how it is every year?
What we've been doing is, when I started, I think it was that when Bob Barker was doing it, they would shoot one a day and then 2 on Thursday, so we had a long weekend so we could go golf.
I love this.
You're freaking Bob Barker. You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Right? And I think that's the way they did it. Well, then as time marched on, with production, you can save money and save time by compressing the schedule. And so when I came on, we were shooting 2 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we'd do like 2 weeks on or 3 weeks on, and then have what we call a hiatus. It just means a little break where you don't do anything. And so it would be like, 2 or 3 weeks on and 1 week off. So, I mean, not a crushing schedule for me. And then with production, they figured out they could do 3 a day. And then they said, hey, let's try doing it 4 days a week. And it's a lot. It is a lot. But the schedule gets shortened. So instead of, when I first came on, we would start like beginning of August and then be done like mid-April.
Okay.
And then that was same start time, but then it was late March. Then it was early March. And then this last season, they just went for broke. And they said, we really want to squeeze the schedule and get production done fast. And so we wrapped right before Christmas. Yeah.
So are you still doing 3 a day, or is it now up to 4 a day?
We do cash shows now where it's all cash Fridays. We've done a few of those. And those we actually did 4 for the day. And that, at the end of the day, I'm like, that could have been a contender, Joey. I'm not exactly sure where
you are. It's
Drew
like you're walking out of a
like
casino.
Drew and I will kind of laugh because he'll say the wrong thing, like where we're in a different part of the show. It's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. But again, then the production schedule is shortened, and so then there's more time off. So I get to spend more time with Mama May.
It's kind of like you're a baseball player.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
So you go back in July. This all wrapped before Christmas.
Yes.
Let's talk about those production days.
Yeah.
Where do they take place? How early do you have to be there? How are the contestants picked? All of that.
What's life like?
Yes.
So my call time. My call time. It's funny. I've been in the business so long. I never really had a job. So I'll just say, oh, what's your call time? Like, I don't even know how to say to somebody like, when do you start
when do you
your
go to your
daily
job?
work job?
Yes.
It's just like, oh, what's your call time? And when do you wrap? So my call is 10 in the morning. So not bad because I'm not a morning person. And I'll show up to the studio. We used to be over at TVC, which was Television City, and we now moved to Glendale, beautiful downtown Glendale. It's an old warehouse, and I was so bummed because Elvis was on our stage, the old one. Of course, Carol Burnett, Jack Benny. I watched the Smothers Brothers on there. I watched Jerry Lewis walk up the famous stairs. This studio it's in a warehouse district, but it looks amazing on camera.
It does.
Because our old stage was built in 1952. So it had all this history, and I'm a big history buff, and I'm a big vintage buff, so I loved that. But the place was running on like asbestos and whale tears. And the new studio is all LEDs, it's all bright, and it looks amazing on camera. And that's all that matters. What matters is the camera.
Yeah.
And it looks great. So I'll show up, the way I drive in, the audience is coincidentally being loaded almost right when I get there. So everybody always waves, and I always wave, and it's always a lot of fun. And then I go and throw my suit on so I don't look like a hillbilly. Trust me, like, this is looking nice for me.
You do look very
I
nice.
think so. It's got a collar on it.
Well
I
done.
could go to a golf course. So I'll come in like in a trucker cap and chucks, and then suit up, and then go in, get a mic on me, make sure I'm pretty, and then I go out on stage and I do the warm up for the show. And what that is I just go out to the audience and say, hi, everybody, here's what you're going to do. I know you've been told this, but, when you hear your name, do this. Like, people just don't know simple things. Like, when I call your name, it's written on a card, too. Aha, pretty smart, written on a card. So that way, if somebody can't hear what I say, I screw up their name, they're hearing impaired, it's right there on the card. So you got two ways to know if you should come on down. Little tricks like that. So I'll teach them that. Then I'll say, okay, we're going to get ready to go, have a lot of fun, help each other to win. And then they just count down, and we jump into the show. We do the show, and when we break for commercial, we don't leave stage. Drew and I don't leave stage. We stay out, and Drew likes to go out and just say hi to everybody, and he'll just come up and everybody's wearing name tags. Says, oh, hey, Laura, where are you from? What do you do? I call it, what's your name? Who's your daddy? And it's just, just chats. And Drew's hilarious. He's an improv guy. So we'll just kind of mess around with the audience, and then the stage manager comes over. That's the boss on the floor, and he'll say, okay, it's time to go. All right, here we go, everybody. And then they'll count down, and we just jump into the next act. So the next part of the show. That's just how it goes.
So in the business, we call it look live, where we know this is not a live show, but you want it to look live. And that's very much what it sounds like you guys are doing. So the filming is 1 hour?
Well, the show is an hour, which is not really an hour. It's,
because of the commercials.
I think it's 48 minutes. Is that
yes,
yes. Or is it 44 minutes? I don't know. Somebody's watching right now and knows. Or somebody's Googling it. But yes, for the commercials, but it takes about an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
Because during the breaks, if Plinko's out on stage, that's a big thing. Our crew needs to move Plinko. So, and it's like, it's a dance. It's amazing. The choreography, we have the most amazing crew ever. And they all run out, and everybody's got their job of where things go, what they do, hitting their marks, getting set. And then they'll dress the set and then get it ready for the next act. And then when it's ready, the stage manager's notified, and then he says, let's do it. So it's as fast as they can turn it around. Oh, you're learning all these terms.
We are.
I know.
We're peeling back the curtains of The Price is Right.
It's fun, though.
A lot of people did want to know, do the contestants know beforehand that they are going to be picked?
Absolutely not.
Good.
No.
Good.
No.
I was hoping that would be your answer because that would be kind of disappointing because it seems like genuine.
It is genuine.
Yes.
No, it's very real. It's super, super real. No, what happens is if you're in line, you're there with your friends, and you get the name tag, and you get a number too. And then you have a number on. So you got the name tag on the one side and a number on the other. And a producer will come and talk to each person very quickly, but just walk up. Hi, Laura. Where are you from? What's your favorite game? What would you do if you got called on that? They just want to talk to you for a second. They just want to see what's your personality. Are you excited to be here? Because that's the wrong time to go, oh, I don't know. They would probably mark down slightly shy.
Don't pick.
But then, what I tell people that happen, because we're like, oh, well, then you already know from outside. Nope, because they'll see somebody outside and be like, oh, this person's amazing. Yeah, this person should be on the show. Well, there's not just 9, because that's how many people get to come on down on the show. There's a lot of people in hundreds of people. So what they'll do is they'll have a pool of maybe 20 or 25 people, and they'll bring in like these are who we think should be on the show, and the producers will go through them and they'll pick, because you want a nice mix of people too, right? You don't just want all 18-year-old guys who are at college right now,
right?
Like maybe one of them, and then so you want a nice mix of people, at contestants row, makes it really fun, and so that goes into the mix. So they'll figure that all that. But then, like during the show, they'll see somebody really amazing in the audience that's just having the best time of their life, or they're really helping somebody out. Or maybe Drew and I talk to that person, and maybe they're just hysterical, or they're really funny, or they're very compelling, and they're not shy when Drew's talking to them. Okay, then I'll see them go, and then every once in a while they'll come over and they'll cross a name out, and I'll write another name down, because it's on my book.
Right.
I don't see that name until I flip the page and there's the name, and I have no time to figure out how to say somebody's name. No time. There's no time at all. So I just guess. I always just say something horrible is going to come out of my mouth. I apologize what I'm going to do to you and your family's history. I'll do the best I can.
I appreciate the total transparency and honesty. And you're mentioning you don't have the time to check what the name is. I just checked the time. It is 10:47, which means we are up against a break.
Ooh.
We are going to take a quick break, come back much more with St. Louis's own George Gray right here on Live with Laura. Welcome back to Live with Laura. George Gray looking very official with me. And friends, you're watching on streaming right now. We love that, or maybe listening later on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But in real time, it is 10:50 on this Tuesday, which means The Price is Right is airing right now as we speak on CBS. You're in two places at once. How does this happen? George, what is it like seeing yourself on TV?
It's exactly what you would think it would be like. Like if you're watching, you're thinking, oh, it must be so glamorous. Okay, everybody remembers answering machines if you're over the age of 40, probably. Okay, or if you're young enough, you know how your voice sounds to you when you're listening to voice, and everybody will say, oh, it's nails on a chalkboard. I look fat. I look wrinkly. I look terrible. I hate my hair. All the things, all those things. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So we're no different. And it doesn't matter how long you've been on camera, how long you've been on TV. You know this. It's the same. We're human.
Yes.
And so, I'll see myself and I'll be like, oh, really? Come on. And then I'll hear my voice and it sounds like this.
What I love about your voice, though, are you told that you have a TV voice, you have an announcer voice, and then a real George voice?
This is my voice.
And I've kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, it's just... Now, granted, I mean, I don't just say, come on down, because that's...
boring.
Well, but this is pretty exciting. I'm about to make somebody's day, so it's, come on down! Yeah, I mean, come on. You got to do it. Also, it's really fun to air it out a little bit. It's really fun to, come on on down. It's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
So do people go up to you at airports or on the street and say, hey, will you say it? Will you say it?
Of course.
And do you?
What's funny is when I first started, I did a show earlier, so people would say it. And I would say, you are the weakest link, goodbye. Because I did that show.
Yes.
And they're like, no,
not that one.
Not the other thing. No, I love it. Anytime somebody comes up and says hi, I love it. People are so kind. People are so wonderful. And, everybody's got their own opinion. Mine is, if you're on camera, if that's what you do for a living, you should be great. You should be graceful and gracious and happy to be there and make people's day. It doesn't take that much time. Now, I get it. If you were at a funeral and somebody's like, hey, could you say the thing? Not now. That was a bad time.
That was a really bad
But you know
time.
what?
But outside in the parking
Yeah.
lot, yes.
I've never had anybody be rude. Ever. Not at all. Everybody's always very polite. Everybody's always very thoughtful. I mean, I walked into the building today and Stephanie was manning the front desk. Oh, my husband, can we take a picture for him? I'm like, let's do a little video. Why not?
Yes.
It's super fun.
Because you are part of such an iconic show.
Yes.
And I want to know, when you were growing up, did you watch The Price is Right?
Yes, of course I watched The Price is Right growing up. You want to hear a story?
I do.
Okay. So I remember, it's one of my first memories, my mom, that was grandma. My dad, that was Nana. So my dad's mom, a tough German broad from St. Louis, and they had a house on the hill and the whole thing. Well, I remember Nana, and she would sit behind me and tickle my back with a corner of the TV guide. That's a very old statement. The TV guide, it was like a brick, and a lot of people are going, "Yeah, I know." Some people are like, "What are you even talking about?" That was how you watched TV. That's how you knew what was on. And she would tear out a piece of the TV guide and tickle my back with it, and let me have a tiny sip of her Busch beer if I would shut up during The Price is Right.
And was this still at 10 in the morning?
Yes, it was 10 in the
love
morning.
it.
Of course, it was my German, my Nana,
Nana, you are amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have some very colorful and interesting women who helped raise you.
Oh, my God. I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky to have the family that I've had. Yeah. Amazing.
So there you are, sipping your Busch beer on the hill.
I mean, the tiniest bit.
Sure. Growing up, watching The Price is Right, please explain to our viewers
Yes.
the trajectory then of your career that brought you to being the official announcer, being named in April of 2011.
I think it was April 2011, yeah. My first day, so that's when I marked my anniversary, was November 18th, 2010. And that's when they were doing a rotation of announcers. It was, I think, 6 of us, and most of them were guys from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I knew them, and they're funny, and they had worked with Drew. I'm like, I do not stand a snowball's chance of getting this gig, but I'm just going to go have a really great time. I'm just going to go have an absolute blast. And I nailed it. So, but what happened is, I guess the short version is Mama May was a casting director when I was growing up. She, in the 50s, was an actress, and was getting into film and TV. She was on a show called The Bachelor Father, and you gotta look it up. And she even, if you want to know what Mama May looked like in the day, there was a Bridget Bardot film that had just come out, and it was coincidentally April 1st, so they sent my mom out as Bridget Bardot on a small junket as an April Fool's joke. So my mom was a ringer for Bridget Bardot, and I'm here to tell you, if you know who Bridget Bardot is, it is uncomfortable to look at some photos of my mom when she was young, because I'm like, oh, wow, that's a very attractive...
Oh, that's my mom!
Really? Yeah, mom was smoke show, yeah. So she decided, hey, she wanted to get married and have kids. So she did that, but put everything to the side, moved to Tucson, and then there was a lot of Westerns being made there in the late 70s. And she did a few, background extra stuff. She got a couple commercials where she'd have a few lines. And then somehow she tripped into doing extras and local casting, what they call 5 and unders. So there'd be a show that would be from Los Angeles. They'd come in, they'd shoot in Arizona. This is common even today. And they don't fly in the people in the background. They hire locally. And they don't also usually fly in people who have one line. That they try to hire those people locally, typically, because there's always great actors in every city. And so that became her job. So and it very quickly she became the top of the industry in that small little pond. And so I would be an extra in old westerns and stuff. So I was an extra in a movie with Anne Margaret. And I remember that being a kid. So I would get to ditch school. I'd get like $35 a day. Which was like. That was like drug money because they had Atari cartridges back then, and they were coincidentally $35. So I worked for a day. I got an Atari cartridge. Tell me that's not a habit. And plus I got to ditch school, and then I'd go back and I'd bring the glass you throw cowboys through, the breakaway glass. I'd bring a piece. I'd pick up a piece from the set, and then I'd take it and I'd chew it in front of because it's just
fake
candy glass. Yeah. So I would just chew it in front of my classmates. So to me, acting and the whole business was just a way to ditch school and fun. I never really thought about it that much. And then growing up, I got more and more jobs. And again, just fun. I was playing baseball. I was a drummer in a band. I had a mullet. I liked girls. I was just kind of, the acting thing was just fun. Whatever. It was just another thing. And then I booked a couple of big things. And one was a film that went on to become a cult classic called Can't Buy Me Love, and where Patrick Dempsey became famous from it. McDreamy.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, and he was an up and comer, and it was him, and it was about a guy who pays a pretty girl to pretend to be his girlfriend for I think 3 weeks because it's going to make him popular.
Yes.
So it was a really neat '80s kind of movie. And I was a jerk boyfriend. And so then I did that, and then I did something called Teen Angel for Disney, which was Jason Priestley, up and coming. And then he did 90210. So I was in all these things and kind of going up, and then I started getting sitcom work, and then it was in other feature films, and just starting to really work. And I thought, well, I'm going to give this a shot. Why not? Because I was in college, I was thinking about going to law school.
That's boring.
And then I thought, you know what? I need some stage experience. I have no stage experience. I'll try stand-up. That can't be that hard. But why did I even think that? So I did. I wrote 3 minutes of material, went up and I did my 3 minutes at the local place in Tucson. They're like, hey, you want to come back and do another 3 next week? And then it was 6, then it was 10, and then I was opening, and then I moved to LA, and then I got in a sketch comedy group because I really liked comedy. That's where I gravitated towards. And I got my own sitcom that was shooting up in Canada there was an old group called SCTV that was basically like the Canadian Saturday Night Live. Eugene Levy, Bob and Doug McKenzie, Rick Moranis, and just so many other people came out of it. I don't know if I mentioned John Candy, but and Kathleen O'Hara. I mean, just amazing people. So I worked with Dave Thomas, and it was the sitcom that was going to be a 3-year deal. It's a very long story. The short version is we shot the pilot. Universal got sold. They scrapped the project even though it was free money and it was a guaranteed run. I went from having this amazing job to having no job, and then having a 7-year contract where all they had to do was pay me $14,000 a year to sit on me. That's to ice you out. It's like in baseball, it's like, well, we don't want to use this guy, but we don't want to trade him because maybe he'd be really good on the Yankees, so we're just going to pay him and just keep him on the bench. So that's what it was with me.
You said $14,000?
$14,000 a year.
So you could still work because you're not going to be living on $14,000 a year.
No, because it was a fully exclusive contract. And so I could really not do much of anything. Now then I wound up being represented by William Morris, in which case, in one day, they would send their lawyers out with aluminum bats, and they would get that fixed.
Okay.
They'd be like, hey, you got a problem here? I didn't think so. Rip up the contract. Well, then I had a small agent. I was just a young kid. And so I needed to work. And so here I was what we call a scripted actor, and didn't know what to do. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just go get a job while I'm trying to cool my heels? And I was visiting a friend on a set of reality TV. And
what show?
It was game show. That one was called Jones and Jury. Star Jones. Remember Star Jones?
Yes.
Star Jones.
Yeah.
So it was called Jones and Jury, and they were looking for a warm up, and they were like Mark Wahlberg, not Underpants Mark, but the Antique Roadshow.
Okay.
Mark Wahlberg, nicest dude on the planet. Seriously, hi Mark, I love you, man. Such a great guy. He was the warm up. Well, he was going to get his own pilot for a talk show at the time. And they were on the phone saying, yeah, we need a warm-up for, Thursday. Yeah, no, that guy's not available. We're going to have... And I said, I'll do it. And they're like, nah, warm-up is different. It's not really stand-up. It's not really improv. You have to know all the cameras, and you have to get the audience going. And I just, please,
give me a chance.
Let me do it. Let me try. And I'm like, okay. And when I showed up, Mark was so nice to me, and I never forgot it. He said, hey, here's what you do. Watch me. Take what you think is funny. I don't care. If you got any questions, let me know. And he didn't have to do any of those things. And then I did it, and they were like, not bad. Within a year, because then he went off to do his own show, I filled his vacuum. And so I was warming up game, talk, and reality shows. And I warmed up Bob Eubanks when he first came back to do the Newlywed Game, Chuck Woolery when he came back to do the Dating Game. So I was a warm-up for all these shows. And then, of course, when you're a warm-up, you're now in front of all these TV execs,
yes.
and they see you. Mm-hmm. And so I would start to get auditions as a host. See, now we're getting to where I am.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to cool my heels, waiting till my contract burns up so I can go back and do scripted stuff. But here I'm going for these auditions, and I would get in the audition, and they would look at my resume and go, oh, you're really good, we really like you, but you know what? You're a film, you're a scripted guy. I'd be like, yeah, but you just saw me. If you like me, just hire me, And, I obviously wasn't ready, but I was, I kept running into that. Well, you're just a scripted guy. And then I started picking off little tiny shows and doing a little more and a little more. And then next thing you know, I did a version of The Gong Show. That was my first big one, in studio, house band, audience. It was a small show, but it was a big deal for me. And that was a lot of fun. And then I got Junkyard Wars, and then that was going to be a tiny show nobody was ever going to see, and it blew up and became the #1 show for Discovery TLC. I got a Primetime Emmy nomination, and then that got me on the radar with NBC, which then got me Weakest Link, and then next thing you know, when Price comes up 10 years later, between then I worked for Speed Channel, HGTV, I did a bunch of shows for them, ESPN, and the audition came up, and there I was. And so it's weird if you don't know where life is going to take you. And I had no idea. And I know that's a very long story, but you can see that it weaves. And there was a lot of uncertainty, and there was a lot of frustration and sadness. I didn't know was my career over, but because I was willing to work and open-minded and saying, hey, can I try that? Otherwise, I wouldn't be the announcer for The Price is Right.
And that's what stuck out to me so much. You said from the very beginning in high school, you wanted to work. $35 a day. Got you out of high school. You got your console. You had fake glass ready to, intimidate the other kids in your high school. The passion was always there, and the drive to work. And also, so many times through this conversation, both on air but also off air, you've talked about the people who were nice to you and they didn't have to be.
Right.
And I'm going to guess you have paid it forward many, many times to them by being nice to other people. I mean, you're doing it right now to me, giving me a full hour of your time.
You're being nice to me. Are you kidding me?
Well, that is incredible.
Plus, this is community service work for me. Not a lot of people know that.
Hey, we appreciate that. We'll also connect you to the St. Louis Area Food Bank on your way out for more community service with them.
I would love that, actually. You know what? I'll tell you what. The executive producer, who was a comedian, you and I talked about this a little bit off air, but I didn't tell you this part. it was myself and him and another guy, and we were all up and comers and trying to get gigs. William Morris was representing us, same agent. And when I got Weakest Link, my agent said, "Hey, do you mind if we, are you cool if Mike gets a production job there at Weakest Link?" And I said, "I want him to, absolutely, yeah. I mean, let me know who I've got to talk to. Absolutely, I want him there." And Mike never forgot that. To me, that was nothing. That was just yeah, of course he's my friend, and he's very, very talented, and yeah, I mean, he should be a much bigger star than me. So yes, he became the executive producer of Price is Right 10 years later. So when it was time to bring somebody in, he said, "I want George on the list." See, like, pay it forward.
Yes.
Because if I was like, no, let him find his own work, well, then you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
And I think that's so interesting because in an industry that you're in, I think regular people think, oh, it's so cutthroat. You pull up the ladder. You would never allow it to stay down there for someone else to climb. Everyone's out for themselves. It doesn't sound like that.
Not for me.
Good.
Not for me. And I know that is the way the business is. And I've taken my punches definitely in the business. Oh, we could tell stories. But I'm just not that kind of person. And I mean, to me personally, I love, like at CBS Television City, they had a page program, and they all wore red coats, and they helped seat the audiences, and you would sometimes see them in the background. And they were always, you had to have just graduated college, I think, and you were allowed, it was an 18-month page program, and, it was a way to get into the business. And I would always say, see those people up there? Those are the execs of the future. You're looking at the people who are going to run this network. And so when I would have parties at my house, playing a band, I have kind of a bar at my house. Go figure. And I'd invite the crew, but I'd invite the pages too, because I mean, to me, they work just as hard as anybody else. Mm-hmm. And one time, I was called in for a show, and the executive producer was originally a page. And it wasn't from Price Right. It was from Weakest Link, my Weakest Link days. Mm-hmm. And that page said, "Yeah, I wanted to bring you in for the show." That's what happens. So just be nice.
Yes.
How hard is it to be nice to people?
Yes. For some people, it's a lot harder than other people. I think we all experience that each day. But someone who is very nice, and I'm going to attribute it to his humble beginnings here in St. Louis, is George Gray, of course, the announcer from The Price is Right. We are going to take one more break. When we come back, we'll get into a few more behind-the-scenes details, but also I'd really like to know how you're doing health-wise.
Okay.
You had a health scare a few years ago.
Ooh, that's called a deep tease.
It is. So stay tuned. Will George be alive or not when we come back? We'll be right back with Live with Laura. We have a few more minutes here with George Gray from The Price is Right, but more importantly, in our opinions and our hearts, from St. Louis. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
It has been such a treat hearing from someone who has been in the industry for so long, hearing all of your various stories. But as put together and polished and fun and vibrant as you are, in doing research for this, I learned that you had a pretty big scare a few years ago, right at the start of the pandemic. April of 2020.
Yes.
Would you please share with our listeners what happened?
All right. Yeah, I told you off camera. You're like, April 2020? And I said, it was actually 420. What?
Yeah, very interesting. Different way to celebrate than some people.
I mean, yeah. And if you're not sure what 420 is, feel free to look it up. So yes, it's the pandemic. I was with my ex at the time. We went to Arizona just to get away from California was pretty locked down. It was really tough to kind of move anywhere. And Arizona, Mama May's house, the family house that I did a lot of growing up in the hills and more removed from things, thought, well, that'll be a good place to stay. Went there, woke up one morning, and just felt odd, felt strange. That's weird. So I went up and used the loo. It's British. And then I was like, I thought, well, I feel a little queasy. And I thought, well, we had fish last night. I wonder if maybe I'm like, I don't know, maybe it was food poisoning. So I took a Tums, which I have to preface. The night before, I ran 1.5 miles, had a couple glasses of wine, and had a great night. Like, kind of a normal night for me, and had healthy fish. So, living a pretty healthy life. And then, so that didn't work when I took the Tums. I got in bed and I thought, well, maybe I'll just try to lay back down. I lay back down. I was like, no, that's not right. And I was just kind of there, and my ex woke up and said, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know. And then at one point, she said, well, do you want me to call somebody? You want me to do something? What do you want me to do? And I said, I don't know. If I didn't know any better, I would swear I'm having a heart attack. She said, why? And then next thing I know, I was prenataling on the bed. 911, fire department shows up. They pull the tape and look into the things, and they did, let's see, this camera, and they go, this camera, there we go. And the guy goes like this. And I never forget, like, the bug eyes. And I was like, that's not good, is it? And he goes, no, it's not good. He said, we're gonna get you to the hospital really fast. I was having a massive heart attack. I was 100% blocked on my right side. Turns out, I had a little genetic fluke I didn't know about. And my aunt, who lived to be 100, she had one time said, test your cholesterol. Yes, I will. I did. It was lower than normal. Like, everything was great. I was a ticking time bomb and didn't know it. And if I would have, later on, I had the doctors say, oh, if we would have, like, run tests on you, like, in your late 30s, you probably would have had surgery. And because I was complaining, I said, what is it? All my friends, everybody's in the business. I know a bunch of rock stars. I know comedians. Everybody's done drugs, and they've partied, and they eat everything fried, and I'm just boring old me. And I mean, I have some beers and wine, but that's about it. And like, why am I the one almost dying? And he said, no, you don't understand. The reason you're alive is because of your lifestyle. That's you would have actually been those rare guys you hear about that just dropped dead in their early 40s, late 30s. I would have been that guy. He said, so you actually you kept things going. And so they fixed everything. So I had massive heart attacks. I'm fixed. No heart damage, 100% healthy. And my doctor, who's one of the best of the best of the best, he said, you'll die of something else.
Which is about the nicest thing a cardiologist could tell you.
So I'm good.
But you said massive heart attacks.
Yes.
The story didn't end on 4/20.
No.
You go in.
Yes.
Get a stent.
What I did is I went in, and my 2 attending nurses were big fans of Price is Right. And it was in the morning, Price is Right is on, like, they're huge fans of the show, and they said, we're going to take great care of you, don't worry about it. I was doing come-on-downs for them as I was being prepped for emergency surgery. They're going to put an emergency stent in. They put the stent in. They wake me up. They say, oh, you made it. You're great. You're good. Just rest, relax. Here's a button. If you need anything, let us know. But, just relax. Okay, great. They leave. 30 seconds later, I thought something's really wrong. And I'm the kind of person, I don't want to bother anybody. Like, I'll figure it out myself. Like, yeah. And I think I waited 10 seconds. I'm like, you know what? Let's not mess around with this. Hit the button. The stent had failed at that exact second. So I went into massive cardiac arrest again. So they did another emergency surgery. And so they stented the stent, which doesn't that sound like a handyman kind of thing? That wouldn't be approved by the union. No, you just stent the stent. Don't worry about it. Just stick the thing in the thing, and you're good to go. Like I said, okay. And then so they said, well, you can have, you need open heart surgery, and you can have it here, or you can go back to California. And the only reason I stayed there is because I thought, I'm already admitted. It's COVID. It's very hard to get in and out of a hospital. I'm just here. I should just do it. So that's 2. So then the morning of the surgery, I'm joking around with the anesthesiologist. I'm joking around with everybody, doing come-on-downs. Like, everybody in a good mood. Didn't have a fight with the old lady last night. I don't want anybody upset.
Did you have your Wheaties this morning?
Yeah, I want you to be good. Not too jittery, not too much coffee. And we were waiting for the surgeon. And he was late. He was late by, like, 10 minutes. And so I'm all prepped, and I'm laying there. And he's like, he'll be here. And I said, I'm starting to feel a little weird. And the anesthesiologist said, he looked at the all the beeps and the boops and the bops. And he goes, no, you're fine. But you know what? Just to get you relaxed until the doctor gets here, well, I'll just, tune you up and get you to relax a little bit. He was lying. He didn't want to freak me out.
Yeah.
But apparently I was in arrest again. And I don't know if the stent failed. I never did find out. All I know is that he wasn't telling me the truth. But I'm appreciative of that. You don't want the anesthesiologist going, oh, my God!
It's happening again!
That's something you don't want to hear a doctor say.
No, especially before your chest is cracked open.
And so they fixed everything, and then I'm great now.
So you're fine?
Yes, I actually walked a mile 3 weeks after my surgery. And I was able to jog, I think, another 3 weeks after that.
That is a huge, though, scare, especially at such a crazy time.
That was a lot.
Do you think of life differently now?
Absolutely, yeah. My mom's 90. Her sister lived to be 101, and she said, I don't want to live to be anymore. She was healthy as a horse. She just then like, I'm done living. I want to live to be 100. I got there. I'm done. She had her great uncle. I can't remember his last name. This is a true story. 105 years old. Died from falling off his horse because he got hit by lightning. 105
on a horse, by lightning.
Got struck by lightning.
It was time.
First of all, God was like, okay, you know what? You're not taking a hint.
Right.
We're going to do it. You wanted to do this the hard way. We're going to do it the hard way.
Are.
I'm sorry. Your time's up, pal. So there's been longevity in both sides of the family. So I've just always assumed, okay, I'll probably live to be that old. And I think that's changed that. Now, I just don't know how long I have on this earth. Again, my heart's great. They said, it'll be something else. You're super healthy. Mm-hmm. It won't be an issue. But I think it just made me realize that every day is a gift. You don't know what you get. And, just because I'm statistically supposed to have another this many years doesn't mean you will. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm just happy to be here. And whatever I get,
And you make a lot of people happy along the way. I think it's so amazing that you're there in a hospital bed having massive heart attacks and you're saying, come on down. I mean, you are making those nurses and doctors' days, and even on their hardest days, I'm sure they're going to go back and be like, remember when we had the Price is Right announcer in here, like coding on the table, but he was still making us smile?
I bumped into one of my nurses, I think it was a New Year's Eve a couple years later in Tucson. He came up to me and said hi. And I was like, wow, thank you for saying hi. Yeah,
yes.
Thanks for saving my life.
That too.
Yeah. The healthcare professionals are amazing. I mean, nurses, wow. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Every single day. We have just a few more moments together. What's in the future for you? Are there contracts at your level? Are there?
Yeah.
I know there are, and they're ironclad. But are they years long? Can you tell us anything about that?
My current contract, I just signed one, I believe, and I believe it was for 3 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I think that's how they go. I think Drew signed a 3 recently. You could sign anything, but that's kind of industry typical, 1, 2, or 3. Mm-hmm. And then, you get to that next point, and then they re-up you. I could tell you what's in my future that I'm excited about, if the good Lord's willing, if I make it that long, is there was only 3 other announcers besides me in the history of the show, which at 54 years is crazy.
Yes.
Johnny Olson had the job until he died. And then Rod Roddy, who became super famous with all the sequins and the big glasses. It's a new car! He had the job until he died. And then a guy named Rich Fields had it for 9 years. And now we're back to, they're taking me out in a pine box. So I had the director, Adam Sandler, different Adam Sandler, our Adam Sandler, okay? Good buddy of mine. He's a nerd, and he had some graph spreadsheet, and he said, I can see how many shows Johnny Olson did, how many shows Rod's done, and you're going to break Rod's record, I believe, next season. So it'll be season 55. So I believe it is going to be this next coming season that we'll shoot. And to me, that is a crazy honor. That's an insane honor. You talk about baseball. I mean, breaking, Hank Aaron's record is just mind-boggling for a player, and for me to have the opportunity to eclipse, the true icon announcer of that show is amazing. Doesn't mean that he's not the true icon of the show. It's just it's pretty cool if I could break his record.
And it's so cool that you've already had this job now 15 years.
Right.
And you still seem like you absolutely love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Drew and I have talked about it, and we said, you know what? Yeah, let's do this until we can't do it anymore. We have a great time. We have a lot of fun, and I've joked around that when I die, on my headstone, it's going to say "Come on down," and then Drew jokes, and I'm going to be buried right next to George, and it's going to say, "We'll be right back after this."
Oh my gosh, I love it. That would be the perfect time to officially end this, but we do have just a few more minutes, so I have one more question.
Okay.
Because a few people ask about this. Favorite game that you guys play?
Favorite game? I can tell you what Drew always says. Drew always says, I don't have a favorite game. I like when somebody wins. That's Drew's answer, and it's a great answer, and it shows on him. He likes people to win. I like people to win. There's certain games that I think are more fun, like mechanically. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by the game Half Off, which can be very difficult sometimes to win. It's where the boxes go down. It's so satisfying to see half the boxes go down. Ooh, that's really nice. Now it's 8 instead of 16. Oh, now it's 4. Yeah, now it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think, is a fun game. Of course, everybody loves Plinko.
Yes.
I love Rat Race.
Oh.
And you'll never guess who invented the game Rat Race. Drew. Drew actually created Rat Race. He had an idea for a game, and he even mocked up all these things and like built a whole thing to show it to the network and to the production. And I think it's a fantastic game because you have to know the price of things. And but then also it's a race, and your rat, it's a little wind-up rat, and whichever color you pick, well, that rat might just fall over, and it might be the fastest one. So, and of course, I love cars and bikes and anything with an engine, so that makes me happy. Like if it had a little gasoline engine, that would be it. That would be the most for me.
A rat having your Dr. Pepper going really fast. George, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Laura.
Enjoy your time in St. Louis. Happy belated birthday to Mama May.
Yes, I will pass that along.
And can we get one more come on down, but just to St. Louis in general?
All right. Everybody in St. Louis, thanks for letting me come on down and spend the morning with Laura. Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends. We'll see you next time.